Hello everyone, welcome to Longarming by Jaclyn, and we are here on location with
Tabitha with Peel Sticks Quilting.
Yes. Yay! And we're gonna do a little bit of joy sewing. I did a applique episode, and we're gonna demonstrate. I just roughly chopped up some of these 10-inch squares so we have something to applique, and we're using this Viliene D0102.
Focus.
So this is one of the products that we sell. You'll notice it says water soluble topping. So when this hits warm water, it's going to completely disappear. And that's what makes this different from an interfacing or a stabilizer or even spray based. There's going to be nothing left of this. So it'll be completely gone. You can use this to stiffen up things that you're working with to sew, and then the first time it's washed, it'll go away. So this is the companion product. This is the tacky version. You see it's got, there's the Viliene, but it's paper backed. And on this side, it's sticky like a sticker. And you can quickly stabilize t-shirts for t-shirt quilt. They'll be nice and crisp and stiff while you're sewing. But then once you wash that t-shirt quilt, it'll go back to being drapey, soft jersey.
Nice.
So it's as crisp as you want it to be for sewing, as floppy as you want it to be for that nice straight when it's done. My favorite thing to do with this is stabilize for memory quilts. And last week's technique with the stack and slash, if you have, especially with, I mean, quilting in general, but joy sewing, and the more scrappy your projects get, you've got things on the bias. Those string quilted units, ours were on a foundation fabric that was pretty stable. But if you have a lot of little seams like that, and the grain of those fabrics is going different ways, you'll have a heck of a time. You'll cut the curve, and when you go to sew it, the one that's biased will have stretched, and it will no longer fit. And you'll have all this fullness and volume, and like your curve is, I mean, it'll be inches.
Right.
I'm not talking about a quarter, it'll be inches.
Wow.
So if you put some of this on the back before you cut, it holds everything in place, and it doesn't add any extra weight, because when you wash it, this is completely gone. So this is the tacky. It has peel and stick on one side, regular Viliene, the D0102, and then this one does not have the peel and stick. It's just like a thin, and then when you wash it, it's gone. You can even spray it with warm water or dip it in the sink. It doesn't even need to be like fully laundered.
Okay.
We've picked two colors that aren't white, and I think where this really shines is where you don't have a white background. I don't know if you've ever done the flip method of applique, and then sometimes it's a dark background and a dark applique, and you get this little lip of white interfacing sticking out, and then kind of ruins the look.
Right.
And then how do you hide that? If you weren't planning on doing a satin stitch to cover the edge and enclose it to like hide that, then you kind of have to.
Right.
Or try to get in there with a marker, which is,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, fun. And I just need a small piece for this. And would you grab us each a pin?
Sure.
The first one we're going to draw is, let's actually draw it on the Viliene. Draw something, because we'll do two. Draw something symmetrical on your Viliene. So my go-to when I'm doing a quick demonstration of applique is a heart, because it's fast.
Yeah.
Start with something symmetrical to get the gist of it. So we'll see if you can see my little heart on there. Okay, and then we're just gonna put that on here, and then we'll take it to the machine and you stitch on the line all the way around. You can print stuff out, and it's so thin you can see through it, so you could lay this over and easily trace.
Yeah.
I just hold mine up to the window because I'm cheap. Alright, so Miss Tab has gone ahead and sewn these all the way around directly to. Now if you are using a print for this, this will be the right side. So just like anything else, you want to sew right sides together. So then what I'm going to do is just rough cut around, and you want to leave yourself about a 1/4 inch of seam allowance, but honestly it's not that deep. Just cut away the excess bulk. You can leave about a 1/4 inch, but don't stress over that. That's not rocket science. She's back. We've rough cut out. There's my stitch line. And then because this is curved, all around where it's curved, you want to snip 2, but not through your stitch line. And I will tell you that this always flips better if you're having trouble with it being like patchy and like little like straight spots that won't quite fold. You either need to get a little closer to your stitch or get your snips a little closer together. So anywhere it's curved, and then where you have a pointy outward corner, if you have a pointy inward corner, you snip it. If you have a pointy outward corner, you can go ahead and remove the bulk. So I snipped right at there. So I'm gonna do snippy snippy up to the thread, but not crossing it on all the curved sections. So now you're gonna separate your 2 layers by pinching and pulling them apart so that you've got your good fabric, and then you've got your Viliene. And cutting just the Viliene, you'll cut a little slit and then enlarge your slit a little bit for easy turning. I wouldn't go right to the thread, but if you have like a big shape like this, you're gonna wanna give yourself a little slit. You really just need this Viliene. Its job is around the edge of the stitching. So if you put more than 1 slit and it's kind of chaotic in the middle, that's fine. All right?
Okay.
So then we're gonna flip it right side out, and using your poking tool of choice, you can roll and poke those. So this Viliene doesn't have any fusible on it, so we will be able to press our appliques before we put them on, but you can't get them wet because it will dissolve on you as soon as you get them wet. So if you have a really humid space or really damp hands for some reason, you want to try not to get this fabric wet or humid.
Lotion,
yeah, a lot of if you wash your hands and come back to sewing, really dry them well. You always want to handle this with nice dry hands. So as you're doing this, I kind of pinch the seam and press against it with my poking tool of choice. You don't want any pleats there. You want to really push it out so you can have a smooth shape like you intended. So when we drew these, we drew them the exact size that we want them to appear in the finished product, which these are just samples, so it is what it is. But when you're drawing your shape, your drawn line is going to be the finished size of the applique that you see using this method. There's a lot of ways to do applique, but this is a fantastic one. So because there's no fusible on that, you can go ahead and press this. And if you're pressing on this side with the Viliene, you'll need to use a pressing cloth, or you press from this side and do not allow the Viliene to directly touch. On high heat, the Viliene can kind of melt, get your iron dirty. Then you've got your little applique that looks like this. And then you can put that onto your background, and if you want to pin that down, you can use light spray-based glue stick, whatever is your preferred basting method, and then you can top stitch the edge. You can do a decorative stitch that sort of straddles on and off the edge, a satin stitch that straddles the edge, whatever you want to do. So there's that. And if you had, when you have a dark background, sometimes there is a little visible white there, even if you use a really lightweight traditional interfacing or stabilizer. But we're gonna show how that goes away. So the next thing we're gonna do is just top stitch these down, and you would use matching thread in real life. One step we forgot, when you do go to top stitch this, especially if you're doing a decorative stitch where it's moving back and forth, or a denser satin stitch, there is a tendency for the fabric behind to pucker up. And then, so that means you need to stabilize it. But if you stabilize it with something that's going to be behind there and you have a layered applique, suddenly you have a lot of stiffness and a lot of bulk in your project. So that may or may not be what you want. So we got some of the tacky Viliene. So I just slit the back a little bit so that I can peel this paper backing up. You don't want to cut all the way through, obviously. You don't want to cut your Viliene. Because it's stabilizer, if there's a little slit in it or flaw in it, my piece is too big. So you just put it on the backing and stick it down. But there it is. That's stabilized. And when this washes, this will be completely gone, including the sticky.
Yeah.
So all this will be gone. Pretend I used the right size chunk. And this is like, it's a sticker. So see how it's like sticky. You just peel the backing off, pop it on. That's it. No heat. No waiting for glue to dry. Then you put this on. I'm starting to make a mess.
I stole it. I took it.
Stealer.
The culprit.
Let me think I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy.
Okay. Now, this is like, look how much body that has. That's like crispy. So now it's like a really heavily interfaced thing, which is really nice to work with. But you want to restore the like soft, drapey hand of the fabric when you use it in the quilt.
Right.
So this lets you have it super crispy like you want it for sewing, really fast, and then super fluffy and soft once you're done.
Right.
So it goes away. It's there when you want it, gone when you don't.
And both of those wash away?
Both of those wash away.
Okay.
So this will wash away and this will wash away.
Nice.
So I'm double stabilized here, but my finished product won't be left with any excess bulk or crispiness. So to get this backing off easily, I just scratch it with my paper scissors, and then when you fold it, the little edge lifts up. You can get in there really easily. So the peel and stick is a little forgiving. I have a bubble there. I can just lift it and re-stick it. Very easy to work with. I know some products, if you don't do it just right, you're regretting your life. So if you have allergies or lung issues, I've got no spray based in the air. I don't have to worry about ventilating or overspray on my surfaces and other projects. I don't have to deal with a hot iron. If you're sewing with kids, if you're using heat or spray based or waiting a long time for glue to dry, those kids are going to lose focus. So this is a great product for children's projects. And they're not as good at sewing, so this makes their fabric nice and crispy and easy to handle. This would be great for stitching a knit. It's going to make it behave like a woven fabric while you're sewing. This would be great for a lot of memory quilts, like those men's plaid shirts are a really loose, rattling my microphone, are really loose open weave, and when you cut them, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So this can hold anything still, a stretchy fabric. If you like to sew, like for sometimes quilts or garment sewing, you'll want a little like satiny, slippery fabric. This will make it handle really nicely. And then you do your sewing, and when you wash it, it's gone. So any fabric that you wish was like a super crisp, lot of body, as easy to sew as a quilting cotton, just stick a little Viliene tacky on the back and then wash it. Anything that frays, curls, stretches, warps, bacons up, use the tacky. That's the peel and stick. And it comes in, this is an 11 1/4 by 10 yard roll that this one comes in. And I have this in my car, it's humid. If your space could get humid, I would go ahead and store it in a Ziploc bag, both of these, just to make sure you keep the moisture off it. Make sure this stays nice and dry. So I just store it in a bag and handle it with dry hands. This Viliene is also really good for foundation piecing. Because again, when you foundation piece, you're building up this bulk in these layers, and you may not want that extra layer of fabric in the finished quilt. So it lets you sew to this as your foundation. And then you can leave it in there through quilting and everything, so it's totally finished.
Yeah.
And all your seam allowances are hidden in there, and then you just wash it out.
Okay.
So you can cut this into whatever size for your blocks and use this for foundation piecing or scrap piecing. The same way you would use, what I've always used in the past is just a cheap light colored sheet. But then it is heavy.
Yeah, and that
There's
washes away.
Extra layer of fabric in there. So this is less heavy, and it'll return to the soft drape it was.
Okay.
All right, so I think you can see, so we used white thread, but this is just a sample. But do you see how around the edge of this, even though this is a fine material, I can see the white Viliene.
Yeah.
And even if you do the best job on applique, you'll get that little edge. When you have two dark fabrics, it really sticks out. So we're going to take this camera and we're going to go into the bathroom and get rid of that. And we had our stabilizer on the back, which I would normally not release this until my quilt is done.
Yeah.
But you can release it at any time.
Excuse my sink, it's not dirty, it's just
orange is bleeding a little bit. So it's already gone.
Wow.
Drop yours in there.
I'm gonna do it upside down.
Gone.
Wow.
That's it. Already gone. That is applique with your disappearing interfacing, and we've got our little samples drying here. Again, that was for video, but it's completely gone off the back. There's no tacky residue back here at all. And then anything on the edge that you might have seen is gone. So that is using the Viliene and the Viliene tacky to stabilize, and it's a disappearing stabilizer for that. So for our next one, I want you to go ahead and draw something asymmetrical. So this is a bird, and he's obviously got a beak and a tail, so he's facing a certain direction. So you can draw him there with regular pen the right way. So pretend you have a quilt and you want your shape to face a certain way. So with this, you can draw it correctly the way you want to see it in the quilt. Or if you're tracing one, you can, and you want a left and a right, you can trace one bird, put it right side up, trace another bird, put it face down, and they'll be symmetrical facing each other.
Okay.
So if you're doing something like a letter that's not symmetrical, or I did a bird, whatever you want to draw, something asymmetrical. So then we've used the same method to do these little asymmetrical shapes. And I think you're right. When you have the Viliene on top, you're looking at the fabric the same direction you're going to look at it in the quilt. So you're already looking at the right side. So you can draw on the Viliene the way you want it to be. You don't have to flip it backwards. Normally, you're trying to write on the wrong side of your fabric. So you have to draw everything backwards and then flip it. And it can be very confusing. So you can see through the Viliene. You can see where on the right side. If this was a print, you can see through the Viliene to position your applique over a certain part. You're going to fussy cut or try to place it. If you want a multicolor fabric and you want a certain color to show up, you can put your applique shape right on top. And it's going to show up the way you drew it. Cute. And same thing, we'll go ahead and sew this down to our background layer. And you can see there's a little white showing through. If you used a regular interfacing, you'd see that on the finished quilt. Or you'd have to put a heavy satin stitch to completely enclose and cover it.
Yeah.
But with our Viliene, we're going to be able to rinse that away.
Okay.
These have dried now. So we didn't wash them, we just rinsed them. So there's a little bit of residue. They feel a little bit like they're starched.
Yeah.
There's no tackiness left on the back. The sticky portion of the Viliene also just dissolves right away. And when you launder this, it'll be as soft as normal cotton. We just did a quick rinse in the sink, so it's still got a little body like it's been starched.
Yeah, which would be ideal for when you sew them together.
Right. I would probably just leave the Viliene on there until I finish quilting it.
Yeah.
And then wash it out all at once. Just launder the quilt.
Yeah.
And it'll all be gone.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and top stitch these on.
Okay.
And if you're trying to save Viliene, which is saving money, you really only need to put this backing around where your applique is. And if it's a huge applique, you only need to put it where you're stitching. So if you're trying to use your scraps and scrimp and save and get a lot of mileage out of that roll, you really need it here around the edge of your applique. So here are our little heart-shaped appliques. They've pressed up really nicely. Since we just rinsed these in a quick dip of warm water, they feel a little bit like they've been starched, but there's no tackiness left on the back. This is not sticky and pilling and attracting dust. They press up really nicely. The ones we rinsed, there's no little white edge showing through. We did use white thread, but on the edge, you don't see any of the interfacing sticking through because that's completely dissolved. So you don't have to worry about peeking and kind of ruining your look of your quilt with that little edge. And then here's our more ornate ones. And this is how I would do it in a normal quilt. I would leave it in there until I'm done and then just launder the finished quilt.
Yeah.
And that'll come right out. Use a warm or hot water like you normally do, and that'll dissolve. It'll be nice and lightweight, almost like you didn't stabilize at all. It's just there when you need it and gone when you're done with it.
Okay, getting all kinds of ideas.
We can unbox. Okay, are we rolling? Yes, we are.
We're rolling.
We did get another shipment in for the shop, and we were going to do a little unboxing and see what all we got.
Oh, that's cute.
Dazzle Dots 22-piece fat quarter bundle.
Nice.
So it's a little square like digital dot, and it comes in a lot of like bright colors. Look at that.
That's pretty.
So 22 fat quarters. That's about what, 5.5 yards of total fabric?
Yeah.
That's a lot of fabric to get in a pre-cut.
It's
nice,
like little squares and little dots. Like some squares, something.
Oh, round and square dots. I like it.
Yes.
Bright.
Nice.
Pair that with some white and your quilting will really pop. Okay, a new thing that we're going to be offering, we're going to be starting to offer thread kits. And we'll be offering pre-wound bobbins. Yeah, that's just paper. You guys will have to let us know in the comments. Right now, we're carrying pre-wound M bobbins, which go into a long arm.
Mm-hmm.
But we can also get 15s and Ls. So if you were looking for a thread kit with a matching bobbin, what size would you like? Okay.
Ooh, this is, oh my gosh. I'd say something, but it wouldn't be camera appropriate.
I can always edit it out. I'll take your natural reaction and edit to be appropriate. Okay, so this is more Viliene. So we will be carrying this. This is going to be, I've got a pattern coming out that's got some appliqué and some lace appliqué. And I'm going to recommend the Viliene, this pillow flip method we did for some of those appliqués. And then another product for, which is not in this box, for the lace appliqué.
Okay.
And it's not lace like you think, like granny lace around the collar. You'll have to wait and see when that pattern comes out. And that's going to be a more modern quilt than I've done in my previous patterns.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, and we're working on pulling together a kit for that. So the original use for this product is as a topping. So if you embroider, and you embroider anything with any depth thickness to it, what this is used for is you put it on top of, say, a sweatshirt that's poofy or a terry cloth towel, anything that has like loft.
Baby blankets.
Yeah, anything with like a loft or a pill or a nap to it. You put this on top, you do your embroidery, and then when you rinse it, this goes away, and it keeps your stitches up and even on top from not plunging down and sinking down into thicker fabrics like a towel, like a sweatshirt, something that's got some poof to it.
Okay.
So it's good for that. This plain one you would hoop. And the reason the tacky one rinses away so nicely is because that's meant to be stuck to the right side of the fabric, and you embroider on it and then rinse it.
Oh,
so this is for fabrics that you can hoop. And if it's a difficult to hoop area, sometimes like with jackets, you're like up in there because it's like the sleeve is already made.
Right.
So you can just pop a piece of tacky on top, like a sticker, embroider over it, and then rinse, and the sticker is gone, and there's no sticky residue.
Nice.
So that's why these dissolve so well. It was meant to go on the right side of the fabric, on top of fabric, to keep your embroidery up. So this thread is called Essence, and it is clear. People say, why would I want clear? Think of this as any color thread or every color thread. If you have a quilt that has a lot of different colors on it, and no one color is going to work correctly on it, like think if you're doing a tulip pink quilt, and you don't have the right thread color, and having to change thread colors as often as her colors change. If you put like a gray, you're going to be diluting and putting like a gray tinge that's going to unpop her colors.
Right.
And the whole reason you bought it was so it would pop.
Right.
So if you want your colors to pop, this thread matches every color, and it's not going to put a cast over your,
Is it still made of poly?
it's going to remind you of like fishing line.
Okay. All right.
It does not feel like fishing line on the quilt. It feels like every other quilt on the quilt. I do recommend that if you try this clear thread, like any other thread, you'll want to do a sample and adjust your tension.
Mm-hmm.
I find it to be really easy to use. I really didn't have to. When I experimented with this, I thought I'd have to go like really delicate, like like
Yeah.
be like kid glove and like afraid of it. It really took some high speed quilting.
Okay.
So I didn't have to really change anything other than tweak my tension. Okay, this is Primo Soft. This is a new color for us. It's Blossom.
I like that. That's pretty.
Primo Soft gives you a nice balance between a cotton and a poly. So Glide has a little bit of a sheen to it.
Mm-hmm.
It has almost no lint at all. It's a dream to work with.
And it's still poly.
Yeah, and Primo Soft is going to have probably half to a fourth of the lint you would get from a cotton.
Mm-hmm.
It's less expensive than a cotton, so it's going to give you the performance of a poly thread, but in your quilt it looks like cotton.
It almost feels
So
like
it's-
cotton too.
Yeah, it's got the look and feel of cotton. Get up in there close. You see how it looks like cotton. If you want the convenience of a poly and the performance of a poly, because you can really quilt hard and fast with a poly, then you want Primo Soft. It'll save you money from cotton. It'll save you a lot of lint and wear and tear on your machine, and it'll let you quilt fast. Mm-hmm. So this color, this is a new color for us. It's Blossom.
That's really pretty.
Oh, okay.
I like the mint too.
This is another Primo Soft in mint.
Ooh, lilac. That's pretty too.
And that one's
Love.
Tabra's Orchid. So the clears also come in the mini spool.
Yeah. Take a test drive.
So this one is glow in the dark.
Luminary.
Yeah.
Clear.
Okay, and we'll be offering some kits. We have got a warm neutrals kit, and that is going to include.
I love the warm gray. It goes
Oh, you know
with
what? This
everything.
is the kit: linen,
Okay.
warm gray, oops, and chestnut. And I think we also got matching bobbins for that. And then we did a blue group. Now, as we stock this, it might be these exact colors or similar.
Yeah.
So there's some assorted blues. Really useful, really pretty. We can get the matching pre-wound bobbin for that. We're gonna carry a lot of these M-size bobbins, which is the jumbo bobbins for a long arm. But can also get the 15 and the L, which goes into like a domestic sit-down machine.
Those are my favorite bobbins in the whole wide world.
Mm. So these have the magnetic core, and these delights come in the exact matching colors to your glide. So this is warm gray. It's an exact match to this warm gray. It's the same thread in a pre-wound bobbin. So you can get them as a set, warm gray, perfectly matched. And then we did a cool group, and I went a little wild with this. So I got a cool gray. This is your cool neutrals. I got a white, and I went with a navy mini, because to me navy is a neutral and it's cool. It's just a dark neutral. This would go well with Naughty Nautical. If you're making the Naughty Nautical colorway, so my pattern is pulling threads, Naughty Nautical colorway, that navy is going to go well with the navy triangles in there. So Essence Clear comes in this clear monofilament. Comes in this color, which is clear clear. If you are doing heavy quilting on dark colors, it also comes in a smoke. And it's not, this is, you're seeing through multiple layers of this. It's not that dark. Like this looks white because you're looking through the layers, but it's really clear. But it's wrapped around so many times, it kind of looks white. So this is not that dark. It's clear with a little bit of a smoke color to it, so it hides better on darker fabrics.
Okay, excited to use that. It's fun.
When I did this on my multi-quilt, it really looked like I changed thread 500 times for every little 2-inch square.
Really?
Yeah, it looked like I changed it, but I didn't.
That's great.
I'm too lazy to
I hate
change
changing
thread every 2
thread,
inches.
yeah.
So there is a chocolate spool. That is a beautiful color of
It
glide.
is.
That's a new one for us, a nice deep rich brown. And then there's our navy bobbins to go with the cool neutrals set. Then we also picked up some of this Wonder Fuse, and this is a fusible web. Some of you guys are used to Heat and Bond. It's similar to Heat and Bond. However, this is cut, let me get the shine off. This is cut so that it fits into your regular inkjet printer.
Okay.
So if you have an image on your computer, you can print it directly on here, and then your appliques are ready to go. So you fuse the one side to your applique fabric, cut out your shape, peel off the backing and fuse the other side to your background fabric, and then it's basted on there and ready to go, and you can do whatever you're going to do, top stitch it on.
So that's for people like me that can't draw. We can just kind of go print a shape.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So if you like your little clip art pictures, or if you're taking your applique off of a photograph,
Yeah.
you can use that. Okay, and that was it. That's our thread haul.
I like the unboxing.
Yeah. Well, these thread kits
I like to
and
play footsie.
these thread kits and more fabric notions and my patterns can be found on fiddlesticksquilting.etsy.com. Put that here. And you can Fiddlesticks Quilting on Facebook. And I'm LongarmingByJaclyn on Facebook. It's massey.jc on Instagram. And okay. Have a good day. Bye.